Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to discuss voting. Voting is your right. You have a right to vote. Huh? Some people are very upset about this, and they want you to go vote. They don't say it's your right, they say it's your responsibility to go vote. They say that you should go vote. Now, that's a different claim from that you have a right to go vote, if you please. That you should go vote is a different claim. Let's look at it a little bit. H.L. Mencken had an opinion on it. H.L. Mencken said, don't vote. It just encourages the bastards. You might take him seriously. I do. That's a pretty good attitude, I think, for him to have, for a person to have. Don't vote, it just encourages the bastards. Now, if we have a right to vote, then we can. If we have a responsibility to vote, then we should, and then we're going to have to. So let's not get it confused, okay? Make sure you always say that we have a right to vote, not that we have a responsibility. If we have a responsibility, someone's going to enforce that responsibility eventually. They're going to force you to vote. Then what you get is you get 99% voter turnout. And that's scary. That's frightening. That's Germany and Russia. They get 99% voter turnout. We don't. That's scary. Why is that scary? You can gauge how seriously the population takes the issues of the day and the candidates on stage by how many of them come and vote. It's a gauge for how serious the populace is. Right? So the candidates can tell what the populace thinks of them, depending on how many of them come and vote and how. Not only that, the populace can tell what the rest of the populace thinks, according to these votes and how these votes go. So it is a way for all of them to keep track of each other and know what the others are doing, and how intense they are and how concerned they are. And if 100% of people are voting all the time, all of that information is wiped out, which is possibly the goal of the people who want us to all vote all the time. All of that information about who cares and how much do they care and which people don't care about which subjects, depending on who shows up to vote about what when, all that information is wiped out. And that's scary. Not only that, but you're coerced into going to the voting booth, and that's bad too. Now, let's think about, in closing, let's think about it this way. Do you need to go to the voting booth? Do you need to? Like, is your life in danger? Now, I know that some people are so stupid and so retarded that they actually cried when Trump won because they thought that, I don't know what they thought. And now we're in this booming economy and everything's great and it's a lovely world. So, if you have to run to the voting booth to save your goddamn life, that's a crumbling society. It shouldn't be that way. You should be able to avoid the voting booth. You shouldn't have to go there. You should be able to live your life independently of going and voting. You shouldn't have to vote. You should be able to go vote if something really important is going on, like Reagan is running, you know? I don't know why Rand didn't support Reagan, but I lived after Reagan did his greatness, you know? And maybe in the future, all objectivists will look back and say, yes, Trump was fantastic, even though right now there are so many objectivists with their stupid heads falling off, saying that Trump's a problem. He's the greatest thing. He's a murder weapon against the left. Are you kidding me? He's fantastic. Okay, you should not have to run to the voting booth to protect your life. It should be there. You should have the right to vote. But you shouldn't have to be running down there every 2 years at the risk of your livelihood and your well-being. Your livelihood and well-being should be protected and be independent of the vagaries of what politician happens to come into office. We should have a more stable society with something like a constitution or something like that. See? You see how lovely it is? We shouldn't have to run to the voting booth constantly to protect ourselves. So, you should vote as though it's your right to vote, and not because it's a responsibility. You should vote when you think that you need to and it's important, and not as an obsessive-compulsive behavior to, be a little fanboy for the state. There. That's my say on voting.